For journalists, I think that the situation in the context of disasters, the challenges there, are very similar to the kinds of challenges that journalists face when they deal with any kind of crisis situation. I think first and foremost, just getting access to good information. With the recovery phase, especially for journalists, we get into a sort of really interesting tension that exists, because somewhere during recovery, the question becomes not just as much about what are we doing to recover from this, but are we recovering in a way that helps us mitigate the effects of when this happens again.
You guys have to remember as journalists, and you have to remember from a policy perspective, that every day the policymakers have to decide where they are with the short term and the long term. They have to align not only the goals of a person that shows up and says they need a bed or they need a tent, but they've got to figure out what the community wants, and they've got to make sure that it's done in a way that the money's safeguarded.
So ideally, we'd have citizens involved in every aspect of a disaster recovery, including the planning stages and also the advisory stages. We want to get feedback from local citizens. How are things going right now on the ground? It's often hard to tell if you're working in a civil servants agency or even in a private organization what's really going on for local residents who might be waiting 1, 2, or even 3 years for an insurance settlement and for information. What will their lives be like in a year?
Always remember to know what the working relationship is between the people that are getting the money and the funders who are giving them. That means NGOs give money to do certain things, federal government gives money to do certain things. Always be sure when you're learning the process that you know who is doing what and what's the relationship.
But also thinking about the specific chains of command that are in place, the chains of incident command, as it were, that are in place. There's some nationalized systems that were put in place that establish command structures, and those are available also through federal emergency management agencies that can help reveal kind of who's in charge at different locations at different times.
Finally, and this is one of the things that I think is one of the most important things that we learned after Hurricane Katrina, you have to have a very strong bottom-up community engagement process. People have to have a voice in their recovery.
Where there have been large numbers of local volunteers, people getting involved, giving blood, helping out, taking up garbage from their areas, making it look better, in those communities we see a very active bottom-up involvement. And a concern you might have would be if it's only a top-down approach to building. That is, the government says we're building these buildings in these places. That's not really driven by local needs or local concerns. And what you see is a bottom-up process where local communities who are really interested in improving and maintaining the quality of life, they want to get involved. They want to have their voices heard.